Hello. Sorry for intruding into your space. I was reading Genesis and something struck me. So I'm going to title this video post, I'm going to title it About Abraham. Just a rev. The thing struck me and I felt like, no, Diola, you can't be selfish with this. You need to share with anybody that is interested. This word may actually help somebody like it did help me. So I read Genesis 13. So I'm using Amplified version, and so it reads, it says, Genesis 13 verse 8. So Abraham said to Lot, please, let there be no strife and disagreement between you and me, nor between your herdsmen and my herdsmen. Now, did Abraham just beg Lot? As in, Abraham actually begged Lot. This is Lot or his nephew. I don't know if you remember who Lot was. I felt this is arrant nonsense. Because some servants that Lot acquired, on the journey with his uncle, Abraham, they came to report to Lot. They came to report some rubbish. That's how I viewed it. They came to report some rubbish to Lot. And he now had the effrontery. He went ahead and he confronted Abraham. Abraham, the man that actually caused his blessings. Abraham is supposed to slap some living sense into Lot's head, to help him reset it. That's the normal thing. Abraham was one that helped him through. After he lost his dad, Abraham took him, adopted him, and Lot became very comfortable and wealthy. And then some servants came to report his uncle to him. And he went ahead and confronted Abraham. And Abraham was saying, please, begging him, please. Anyway, since Abraham didn't slap some living sense into his head, which is a normal thing that anybody would have felt like doing, instead Abraham begged him. Abraham said, please. Wow. Verse 9. Abraham went as far as asking his little nephew, said, Lord, please choose whichever side pleases you. Wow. I was just thinking, why would Father Abraham do that kind of mumu thing? That's what I tagged it. Is that not mumu? I was so vexed when I read it. I felt, the story of Abraham and Lot, Uncle Abraham did Lot a favor. If you look at Genesis 11, if we check 27 to 28, and Genesis 12, 4 to 5, Genesis 11, 27 to 28, and if you check Genesis 12, 4 to 5, you see the trajectory, how they moved. So I felt that you should be grateful, and that not only did Uncle Abraham change the trajectory of Lot's life, he turned it around so well that Lot became so prosperous that he acquired servants. Enough servants to take care of a large herd of cattle. That's actually what was causing this rift. So I felt that when the issue arose, Abraham was supposed to, Lot was supposed to caution his servants. Was supposed to have told them that, no, this my uncle is very important to me. He's important to my survival and my livelihood. I felt he was supposed to have corrected the mentality and outlook of his servants whenever the thing is related to his uncle Abraham. Anyway, so he didn't. And so when he finally got to Uncle Abraham, even Uncle Abraham was pleading with him and said, please, Lord. Then something struck me. I felt, wow, Father Abraham actually had an expo. The expo is in the Word of God. The Word of God that says, follow peace with all men. Follow peace with all men, regardless of who the man is or the woman, whoever it is, a human being. Say, follow peace with all men and holiness, without which no man shall see the Lord. When I checked it in this Passion Translation, Hebrews 12:14, that's where it is. Hebrews 12:14. It says, in Passion's translation, it says, in every relationship, in every relationship. Be swift to choose peace over competition and run swiftly towards holiness. For those who are not holy will not see the Lord. In every relationship. In every relationship. So I was like, wow. So I got that revelation. And I had to run with it. I don't know if you get it. I don't know if you get what I got. That was why even when Lot, after he left Abraham, and he went to Sodom, when Abraham learned that this guy had been taken as a war prisoner in Genesis 14:12-16, Abraham didn't rejoice at his downfall. Ordinarily, Abraham should have said, now, this my stupid, silly nephew, he will learn his lesson. God is teaching him some lessons. No. You know what Abraham did? Instead, Abraham assembled his warriors, all his warriors, and ensured that his nephew was rescued with everything the nephew owned. This is selflessly a truly loving man. He overlooked all the flaws. Wow. And he ensured that he helped this guy in every way he could. Even Genesis 18:16, if you can check Genesis 18:16, to the end, you see when Abraham was privy to information that where Lot was residing was going to be destroyed, he kept pleading on this guy's behalf when the angels came to him and all that. Something very interesting that I noticed throughout this narrative was that there was no record that Lot ever came to Abraham to apologize for his foolishness. So Abraham was not doing all these things that he wasn't doing because Lot realized his foolishness and came to apologize. So no, there was no record in the Bible of Lot coming to apologize. In fact, Abraham just kept doing it because he was Abraham. Sometimes when we ask our God, give me Abraham's blessings, we don't usually check what did Abraham do. I now understand why God referred to Abraham in Genesis 18:17. God referred to him as his friend. Abraham really pursued peace with even those that one would naturally assume they don't deserve his attention, or they are getting what they deserved, the punishment they deserved. So I learned that just claiming Abraham's blessings. We used to sing this song, say, Abraham's blessings are mine. You claim the Abraham's blessings. I think the first thing we need to do is, first of all, continually ask God for grace, wisdom, to be able to actually live like Abraham. When you do that, God doesn't have any favorite child or anything. He is based on your obedience to him and, compliance with his word. Live like Abraham did and see how God will bless you. Hope that this revelation helps you like it helped me. Bye.